You are sitting at Chair's table. Breathe deeply. Like and retweet the stream. We will begin shortly. Welcome, everyone, to Chair's Table. Thank you for the energy. I'll give it right back to you. I hope you didn't fall asleep. I didn't. I'm wide awake. This is Chair's Table. I am Chair, and I am here to prop you up. At Chair's Table, everyone gets to eat. It's up to you how much. If you joined us on Monday, I had the folks from updraft.fund with me. Go back in the histories on YouTube or elsewhere to check that one out. It was a good one. We are live now on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Like and subscribe and share in any of those places or wherever you might be joining right now. It's probably Twitter. So like and retweet. If you have questions at any time, drop them in the chat. And if you're really keen, send me a DM and you can join the stream itself. With me today, one of the kindest, biggest hearts in all of crypto. I had the pleasure and honor of working for and with him not a few years ago. He is currently yielding his way through the liquids on Hyperliquid. He is Andy Boyan of HYPERLIQUID. Hello, Andy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, my friend. I'm bringing the energy as well. It's wonderful to be here.
It's very, very nice to have you. I'm excited about this. I'm excited to get deep into what you're working on now and the greater ecosystem happenings. Before we go directly and deeply into it, where can people who are unfamiliar with you and your projects find you, follow you, and learn more about you?
Well, hey, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to the table. I am sitting on a chair. I prefer chairs as my preferred sitting method. My handle is Andy Hi-Fi on Twitter and on Telegram and on Discord, and usually other places too. But Twitter's the best place to find me. Hypurr.fi, you can see scrolling down along the bottom. That is our project handle, our main project handle. We've got some other ones as well, but that's the main one where you'll find all the most updated and relevant information for stuff that's coming out about what we are cooking most actively. And my friend, we are cooking hard. But hey, I will say this. If you are in the Hyperliquid ecosystem thinking about DeFi, we're going to get into it. I'm going to do the whole thing here with my boy Chair. But if you're thinking about it, join the HyperFi Telegram chat. It is the best DeFi chat in crypto. We go deep on LPs and lending and LTV ratios, and we shit post and we have fun. Good memes, good stickers, good community with a really quality conversation. So please join that. Say hey.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Really, Hyperliquid happened this year, maybe late last year, but really this year, and it hit a lot of people, a lot of core and OG people, even by surprise. And if you weren't plugged into what was happening before it exploded, then it really surprised you. And anyone who was paying attention early to Hyperliquid and earning points, well, has done rather well for themselves. And now basically everyone is aware for it. Yesterday, Phantom announced their integration with Hyperliquid. So big players are starting to come to the Hyperliquid table. Now,
Everyone is coming. Everyone is coming. Like that's the meme I posted all the time, but it's true. It's like, and I'll explain why as well. So, because I was not early. Like I'll tell you guys this. I learned about Hyperliquid from the airdrop. I'd heard of it. You know, you hear about a million L1s and DEXs and projects and all this sort of thing. And like if you're in this space, you just have to filter. And so if people haven't heard of us and haven't heard of Hyperliquid and haven't done the research, it's okay. Like I understand. I was that too. But the founder of HyPurr.fi and good friend of mine, when the airdrop was happening, he kind of turned all our heads and was like, something is happening here that's bigger than an airdrop. We need to look. And we did. And oh, it's this thing. And so we just managed to build the app and be right there on time for when the EVM launched and when DeFi really kicked off alongside the larger perp stacks. And we'll get into how all that works. But I think you're still early. I think everybody's still plenty early. Regardless of airdrop or whatever that happens to be.
Yeah, if you can take it, if you can take us through your perspective, I guess your version. Like I'm always interested in the lore, and there's a few names that keep popping up, chameleons and whatnot, that are responsible, maybe or perhaps some of those responsible for standing up Hyperliquid and bringing it to where it is today. If you could give us a bit of the lore of early Hyperliquid, how we got here, who the players are they the same? Has the game changed?
The game has changed, but the lore, the core lore is there's a core team, a very small team. It's like 11 or 12 people, almost all engineers, and one DevRel who's like your only community contact, the only person you can basically talk to from the team. And they built this entire engine. Another large part of the story is they were well capitalized on their own, so they didn't take any venture money or external funding. They just built this first and really focused on the user experience and what users would want with an exchange. They're very trader focused. And so that's what's different. Like I'm not a trader. Like I'm a bad trader, and I am now because I'm in Hyperliquid. But I was always just a bad trader, or like ape a shitter, and then I did one that was a runner, but only one. Like I never did good on that stuff. But by focusing on that segment and by making things on chain, they really captured this market by making a killer product. So that's the lore, is they made a killer product and it's a really great exchange and it's so good and perps are so cool. And I didn't really know what they were until earlier this year, that it just caught mind share. And this is all pre-airdrop. Like, it was just a great product pre-airdrop.
Why
So
are
that's
perps cool?
lore.
What's so cool about perps? And what are perps for those that might not know but are too afraid to ask?
Can I share my screen and show the thingy?
Absolutely,
How do
please.
I do that? All right, I'm gonna share.
There is a button. Mind your passphrases.
Yeah, I'm all set. I want to show. I guess I'm gonna show. I don't want to show the whole window.
There's a
All
you
right.
could do a tab view.
Yeah, I'll just have to switch tabs. That's okay. All right. So this is the Hyperliquid DEX, and this is a perpetuals market right here. Bitcoin, y'all know Big Daddy Bitcoin. This is a demo wallet that I have, so don't worry about amounts and all that sort of stuff, but just to show people what's going on. So perps are a lot like options, where what you do is you buy the option to either sell an asset at a higher price or buy an asset at a lower price. And so if I'm buying, I'm buying now, then I'm buying at this price, and somebody on the other side is selling me this at this price. Now, if the price then over the next however long, 10 minutes, an hour, 6 months, goes up, I've made money because I'm buying that from this person at this price. If the price goes up, then I sell it at that price, whatever price I choose. And so that another person takes the other side of that trade. It's a contract, and so that's how you make money on it. Or you could take the other side. You can buy it here with the option to sell it at this price, and somebody else says, "Okay, I will buy it from you at this price because you're going to sell it to me at this price, no matter what." Price goes way down, right? Then all of a sudden you're selling it at this price, you're making money. That's shorting the position. So basically, it's a way to say, I think the price is going to go up. I'm going to think, or I think the price is going to go down. So I'm going to buy and long. That means I think it's going to go up or down. Okay, let's go to the 1 minute chart just to see where it's actually moving, so we can get a little action on this. So we got our candles, like all this sort of stuff. Hold on. And we can set a position right here. Now, typically, historically, options this exists. This is just options, and they exist in traditional finance and trading for years and years, and they're quite popular. What perps does is, because crypto is a 24/7 market, you can just leave that option open as long as you want. You can close it in 2 seconds, just manually clicking. You can set an order for it to close in 5 minutes, no matter what, or at a certain price level, or you can just leave it open forever. When you add leverage to that, right? So now we can also lever up on that. So it's not just my position, but I can use my position to borrow more, and I can lever up on that. All of a sudden, I can outsize my gains even more. So that's why people like it. It's like a trading tool that really accelerates your trading, accelerates your losses as well, if you're on the other side. But it's an incredibly sticky product that came out, I don't know, five-ish years ago. I think BitMEX and Arthur Hayes invented the perpetuals, or at least were the first major exchange that had them. That's why FTX got so popular as well. But what's different about FTX is that was like a private, centralized order book exchange. They held the market makers, they held the markets, they held the user funds. And in doing so, that was the problem with FTX, is they held user funds and they went out and invested them in shitters and then lost it. And they lost it all, right? And crashed and all that sort of thing. Well, the team behind Hyperliquid, they saw that happening. That was happening. They were trading there. They were traders. And they said, well, that's wrong. We could just put it on chain and people can see what the market is, what's available right there, and what that is. So that's like the core element of Hyperliquid. Is it's a DEX. It's an on-chain trading venue where you can see what liquidity is available. You can see people's positions. You can see how much risk you're taking if you're buying an asset or selling an asset or providing liquidity to the market. But then it also has this incredibly fast execution speed, really low fees, other really handy UX sort of things that people really like as well. And so it just caught fire.
Is it accurate to say that Hyperliquid is an actually on-chain version of what most sexes offer? The feature that most sexes offer, you can now access in a permissionless way that is on-chain, including all of the liquidity, hence the Hyperliquid.
Yeah, I mean that's really what Hyperliquid set out to do, is compete with sexes. They're not just here to beat out DYDX and GMX, RIP GMX. They had a exploit today, and all of these other decentralized exchanges, but they're really taking a look at those centralized exchanges and saying, how can we be better than this? We think on chain is better. There's transparency, there's composability, there's permissionlessness, all of those things right, settlement that is verified settlement, instant, that you can verify and check on chain. Those are worth having on chain. Let's build parity with the features of other exchanges, centralized exchanges, and really compete. And they've done so. The perps market is creeping up. I mean, they're not overtaking Binance anytime soon, but they're eating into market share. They're definitely eating that market share, and the centralized exchanges are starting to take notice. Everybody notices, right? Like they do like 3 million revenue a day. They're doing insane amount of volume per day. Well, and then that's the other piece of it, and is what do they do with their revenue? They're using it to buy back their tokens. So they do this massive airdrop to their users on all sides of positions for actual use, so real users, and then they end up buying back token using the fees from the open market all day, all the time. There's just a constant hype buyback, and so people really like that. You got loyalty to a platform, you got a great airdrop. Some people did, and then the token kind of has, anti-gravity motion attached to it because it has this buy pressure. Now it's not totally, resistant to all market movements, obviously, but those are like some of those core features that people really are excited about here.
Well, I saw a meme yesterday posted by Mogi, shout out, where it was the Green Reaper meme knocking on doors, and the door behind him was Phantom Wallet, and up ahead of him was tier 2 centralized exchanges, and the headline was builder codes. What are builder codes? What are builder codes on Hyperliquid?
Okay, so here's the not so secret is we don't think Hyperliquid is really out to build a great exchange that you're seeing right now, that I'm showing right now. This is a feature that they needed to build enough liquidity and users and a system of matching orders and connecting buyers and sellers and lenders together, that creates a huge liquidity flywheel. That's what we suspect, is they had to build the exchange to do that. Because what builder codes do is they let you use all of Hyperliquid's engine, the order matching engine, the liquidity books, the positioning, the leverage, like all of it for perpetuals and for spot as well, and just put it in your own app. You don't ever have to build a perpetuals DEX chair. We could go launch a perps DEX. We could do it. We could have Cursor like vibe code us up a mobile app, and use a builder code to import this stuff. And we hire a good friend of ours to actually, connect all the dots together. And what builder codes do is they let you split the fee with Hyperliquid, and you set the fee. There's some fees there. And so, folks like Phantom are saying this and saying like, well, we can just put a perps DEX right in Phantom. We have insane distribution with Solana users who want to trade, and they have no real exposure to Hyperliquid yet. Let's just put it in the wallet. And so Phantom is getting a fee on every trade that somebody makes, and Hyperliquid is getting a portion of that fee. Phantom then also puts another fee on top for their UX, and so they're getting, double fees, and they're eating. And why can
double
they do that?
dip?
It's a double dip, but they've got crazy distribution. They've got a great product. They have, this awesome moat where people love the product, and it's good. The Phantom wallet is good, and the team is great too. So, like, builder codes, and I've already seen a dozen of these. Like, they're out there. You haven't heard of them as big as Phantom, but there's many growing that are out there, that are new, that are coming from established builders in the space. The question is like, why? Okay, so I say everybody is coming. Why? Is because what Hyperliquid has is active users that use real money to do stuff.
Real people.
This is the key. Tech doesn't win, liquidity wins, and not fake liquidity, not bot liquidity, active organic liquidity. And that's something that you can't buy. You have to build it with a product, and they've done it. And now it's this flywheel and this juggernaut that's like, unstoppable.
So it seems like the builder codes are what incentivizes people permissionlessly to hook into the system, a la Phantom's recent announcement. And that's really, there's no gate there, right? If you are capable and have the means, you can do it. There's no one to stop you, and your builder code is what you will eat from, and that's very core to the ethos of crypto. So
So that permissionlessness is really important. People ask us like, why did we come to build on Hyperliquid? Or actually, I get DMs all the time from other teams saying, hey, can you introduce me to the team? I want to find out about the grants program. I got one yesterday. There's no grants program. The team gives you nothing. You get a link to the docs. And what's cool about that is they do that the same for everybody. So I introduced Chainlink to them because I know Chainlink, and I was in the chat, and the DevRel, it's like the one DevRel guy, community guy, it's the same guy, and he's like, here's the docs, you're welcome to integrate. Like, that's it. There's no program, there's no special deals, there's no venture. And so when we looked at that, like, we're a new protocol and we don't have established traction somewhere else. We're like, hell yeah, level playing field. Build the absolute best product, and we will have success. If we go and talk to users genuinely and build a good thing, that's all we need to do, because we've got the tool, we've got the chain, we've got this whole order book that's right next to us that has this massive liquidity flywheel of active users. All we got to do is build properly. There's no bribing, there's no being in the cabal, there's none of that stuff. And that has been like a crazy accelerant for Hyperliquid, because people are looking for that.
So if I'm following the thread correctly, Hyperliquid is a massive pool of liquidity that is on chain that links a bunch of layer 1s now and ETH layer 2s. The main feature at the moment, or at least the main product at the moment, is the perp dex that we are looking at now. But the sort of the underlying massive benefit that everyone has is this access to a real liquidity and a very deep pool of it across many L1s, and builders can permissionlessly begin to benefit from that ecosystem immediately, a la the builder codes. So I think that brings us, if you can talk about, before it brings us there, how do users get to Hyperliquid?
Yeah. Well, I'll just show you guys a few things so users, you can go and see and kind of follow. But I won't go too deep and crazy, but I'll just kind of show you some important links and things that I think are important. So, when you go to deposit here, it's a bridge to from Arbitrum. And so, hold on, I gotta sign my stuff to log in here. If you get USDC on Arbitrum, do you see it now? Did it pop up for you?
I see some sort of modal
Okay. I just
deposit
wanted to make sure.
USDC.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, you're depositing from Arbitrum USDC into Hyperliquid, and what that gets you is USDC on the Perps exchange. Right now, my USDC is on the spot. You can see it right here. I can transfer it over to Perps, and when you deposit USDC via the Arbitrum bridge, this is where it comes. And that, I'm using Rabby. It's the best wallet for this so far. I guess Phantom is available for some users too. I haven't had a chance to test it out. And there's a couple other wallets that do work, but Rabby has been very good for us, especially because you can also move stuff to the EVM directly. So you see right here, transfer to or from the EVM, and I'll show you that as well. And that's been the key for us. It's not just the builder codes, although that is a great factor for us. It's the access of moving these funds from the exchange to the chain so seamlessly. It's the same chain, same blocks, like it's all running on the same chain. So to do those transfers is really, really fast. Here's some things to take note of. So this is a Perps market right here, the HypeUSD Perps market, and I can change my leverage however much I want to on there. But they also have spot market as well. And so you can go to spot market and you can buy Hype directly with USDC right there. And that's if you want to hold it. And that's your wallet. That's your self-custodial wallet right there. I transfer to spot because I moved my USDC to Perps. And then there it is. And now I can go and buy some Hype right there. I'm going to buy $5 worth of Hype.
And there it is. And so you went from Arbitrum to Hyper Core, and then to the Hyper EVM to then purchase. And that was all USDC traveling to land at the Hyper EVM to procure some Hype.
Oh, order must have a minimum of $10 USDC. I gotta do it. All right, I'm gonna... Oh, come on. 1040. All right, there we go.
And what was the transaction fee on that? If we was it sub 1 cent for that trade? Under 1 cent.
I don't know. I gotta go and look at my order history there. Field
No, that's
size.
fine.
I don't know. It's in there somewhere, right? You can go to, but they have low fees, and then they have even lower fees for people who are trading at size. And so if you're like a market maker or a large hedge fund and you're swinging hundreds of millions a day, um, then you can stake hype and get much lower fees and lower than other places. That's another way they've really solidified that market. But not only is it the markets you have access to and liquidity in the markets, but users can permissionlessly be a liquidity provider themselves. And this is something that is pretty exciting. It's the Hyperliquidity Provider. This is the HLP. People are very excited about this. It generates an APR that's consistently been generating. It has a couple of down days once in a while. It's risk because it takes the other side of perpetuals trades in the absence of other liquidity. And so,
Can you zoom in like a touch or two on this view?
yeah,
There it is. Or maybe a touch out now. There you go.
yeah.
If you just move around that way, that's cool.
But like, here's positions that people have taken. They've taken a short on ETH, and there's liquidity provided for that. But when people lose out on their trades, right? When you are liquidated, the hyperliquidity provider is taking that liquidation. So you put up your USDC and you can add it into this pool. And many people, right? It's got $365 million worth of USDC that's in there as well. And so that's kind of like one of these democratizing permissionless methods as well. So this is one of the major market makers on the DEX. Other market makers can participate. It's permissionless. But this has been like another really powerful flywheel for Hyperliquid.
And when people get liquidated, do like the users, or does this hype benefit from this HLP specifically? Like, does it pump, I guess,
So
revenue?
the HLP, the returns go back to the users who deposit into the HLP. That's like how it generates its APR, and it ranges. It was 5% today, but it goes up to 30, 40%. It just varies with how much liquidations are happening, and whatnot. The fees on every transaction, Hyperliquid takes a cut. Right, any phantom transaction where somebody's using those builder codes, Hyperliquid also gets a portion of that fee. Those fees go into the hype buyback, which is called the assistance fund. And I'll pop something open there. One sec. Hype burn. I forgot to open that one. But this is a nice little website to track how much hype is where. If you're really interested in hype, we've got a total token supply. We've got non-circulating supply, future emissions, assistance fund. This is staked and circulating. So this is the assistance fund, we believe, right here. Which the assistance fund is like they buy back the hype token and they stick it in this wallet and it's used for future community whatever, and we don't know what that is. Many people speculate it's another airdrop. I'm not going to speculate because it doesn't actually matter to me. It's like that would be that would be awesome. That would be an accelerant, I'm not going to lie. But here's the assistance fund info down here. But they don't ever tell you like what the criteria would be. They don't talk about it. It's just not a thing. And so we just take the flywheel effects of building on a killer chain, and that's also fine. One more thing I'm going to show you here before we get into things is on this dropdown, there's all sorts of like great stuff, stats and the API, learning about the Explorer, playing around on testnet and stuff like that. The stats page is really cool. It shows you like historical volumes. So Hyperliquid's been live since 2023. I had no idea of that. But they did, slow growth and building that liquidity and building community genuinely. Like they've been building a long time, but it really just accelerated recently as they started making a tremendous amount of money, right? The exchange just makes money and they gave it all back to hype. It's crazy. Another interesting page here is vaults. So I showed you the Hyperliquidity provider, but there's some other interesting vault. We can start a vault share. We can go and make some perps positions that long, I don't know, whatever, long Bitcoin. Oh, this one is long hype and Bitcoin, short garbage. And so this vault curator, who I know, has shorts on what he calls garbage, which is ETH, Link, XRP, Sui, Say, out of everything except for Bitcoin and hype. And he sets this up in these dynamic positions. He's got longs on Bitcoin and hype. So he sets this up, right, in this vault. But what I can do is I can go and deposit. I can join this vault and just give my money to this performance. And so this is a pretty cool thing in vaults is you can kind of like see what people are building strategies and who's making money on what, all that sort of thing.
Are you on
Some
the
people
vault? Are you
enable-
sharing the vault view now? Or
Oh
are you
yeah,
still on the?
dude. Sorry, I've
Oh,
totally
it's okay.
messed it up.
It's okay. No, you're good. Okay,
Uh,
so this is the. Can you zoom just a touch in, and we can see what the trash is defined as?
yeah,
Um,
so these are the different
bear with
vaults,
me.
user vaults, and here's
There
the
we
one I
go.
was just talking about: long hype and BTC, short garbage. And he calls all these garbage, right? He's got short positions on all these, and then longs on Bitcoin and on hype there. And you can see his position, right? You can see. And look, there's like $3 million people have deposited. That's not all his money, but you can go and see how performance has been over time. Pretty good. So it's like these are just cool features to examine. One more is the staking, and so this is its own chain. It's its own chain, and it has a number of validators. I believe there's 21, 5 of which are the Hypurr Foundation. That these 5 are the Hyperliquid team, but it's a permissionless validator set, and you can join if you can run a validator and have really good performance and accept stake. It's based on Cosmos SDK chain, like that's what it is. It's they call it Hypurr BFT. It's a version of uh, what is it? Cosmos BFT. Is that what it's called? I think it is.
I don't know.
And so you can go and see these validators, and most of these are known validators. They have their own communities and teams that you can go and talk to and chat. Nansen's in here. People know Nansen. Infinite Field is a large market maker. Let's see who else that people might know. Anyways, Hypeo and Hyperbeat. Hyperbeat is a DeFi platform, and Hypeo is like an NFT community. Like, you can go and check all this stuff.
Does it cost anything to create a vault?
Yeah, there's
And
some minimum.
okay.
It might be 500 USDC or something like that.
So you can curate whatever position. I can curate whatever position I want that's bullish on whatever collection or single token versus other tokens or any combination of longs and
Yeah.
shorts, package those as a product. Now, if people are buying into my packaged product, do I earn a little something?
Yeah. You set the fee. You set profit sharing. And so people say, "Oh, it's 90% profit share. I'm out." So like the one I showed had 10% profit share, and he managed it for you. You pay the fee on the gains. You're making $100 on this. You pay out $10. Maybe that's worth it. So yeah, it's cool.
This is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a rather interesting feature. It's like copy. It's another version of copy trade. Is there a straight up copy trading and address
No,
feature as
that's what
well?
it is. That's what
Okay.
because you can't do it with spot because it only accepts USDC because just
Oh,
the
for
way the
perps.
engine works, that lets you do all the perps. So you can't do it with spot trading
Makes sense.
as of yet. We don't know if that's on the roadmap, but well, here's what's really sick. Okay, ready? Let's level that up. We got 5% on the HLP. Hold on, let me zoom in again here.
Mm-hmm.
We got 80% on whatever this guy is. Like, that's some pretty good APR. What if we could tokenize that vault position? What if we could tokenize that and take your position in a 5% APR yielding vault and go and
Mm-hmm.
use that as collateral in DeFi?
Now
Now,
you have a
that's what the
liquid
Hyper
position.
EVM is for. You have a liquid position, and that's what the Hyper EVM is for. And it's on the same chain. And so the actions that are happening on the perp stacks with your wallet and your account, those can trigger events that happen on the EVM. So that is why we're there. Look at this. Right? Like, look at the order books, look at the liquidity that can move so seamlessly right to the EVM. People could do it within a block. Like it's a block transaction to move these things. So it's fast. It's a lot of liquidity. And it's sorry, my wife's doing something
No
loud
worries
over
at
here.
all.
Like, and that's the opportunity. It's like, okay, we have these users, people who they're not just users that we want to prey off of. They want to use their money to make money. And they're traders. They're not shy about that. We're not like in fuzzy blockchain la la land. Let's hopefully make some art on chain. No offense to that, but these are people who want to make money using their money, and that's a huge difference. Is because now the tools are here for DeFi platforms to come in and service those needs. So that's what we did, and we've had insane growth because people are actively trying to do that, and they're excited about that.
It's very interesting. Is there at this point speaking about fuzzy happy crypto stuff? Is there a gaming element that's happening on Hyperliquid yet, or is it much more serious and financially based only?
So there are memes, there are NFTs, and has been whispers of gaming stuff. One of the largest ticker sales. Oh, I got to talk about the spot ticker auctions. I haven't even talked about that, or the perps auctions. You can own your own perps market share. you could own it and get all the fees that people trade on it. Anyways, but I'll come back to that. There is a culture community that was there from the very beginning and has grown, but most of the activity is really focused on finance. Like those are the biggest movers. Is people want to do stuff with their money, and so and in generally Hyperliquid, like it's great to have these NFTs. I've got some. I like collecting them. I got some of the memes. I joined the community. I'm happy with that. But this is about doing stuff with money and figuring out a way to make money in ways that benefit me and benefit an ecosystem and are sustainable as well.
That makes sense. So the ticker auctions.
Oh, bro,
you mentioned.
Yeah. So check this out. All right. Here we are. So I'm going to go back to the trade interface. And why am I not connected? I got to reload one sec. And over here, I'm going to go to the spot auctions. Here's an example: USDXL, USDC. Now, USDXL is a stablecoin. It is a CDP stablecoin from the Hypurr EVM. It is HypurRFi's native stablecoin. We bought this ticker and this market, USDXL against USDC, on the Hyperliquid core exchange. And we did that. Well, let me just show you the best interface to show that off. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I have too many explorers. Okay, here we go. Over here in the auction tab, each ticker sells. And it's just an open every 36 hours, maybe 31 hours. A new ticker slot is available for sale. And so these people, the price got down to 500 hype because it's a Dutch auction. So when USPYX sold, the next auction starts at 1,000 hype and then slowly ticks down. So you can see it ticking down slowly. If you're ready to buy this now at 648 hype, you can ape in and you can buy that, and you choose the ticker. You can't choose like majors.
Oh, right? So you can choose the ticker, but there's a list of availables. It's not an open.
Yeah, right.
Not open.
Like once. Okay. So here's some that will launch one day. These have been bought, and you can actually go and check. These are ones that have been bought, and you can like scope out some projects you may recognize. Cream, don't know who that is. Unit, that's like the largest project on Hyperliquid besides Hyperliquid itself. Giga, that's a pretty good one. Money, HW Hype. HW Hype is a token that's live on Hypurr EVM. We know this.
I was going to say, I recognize that ticker.
Yep. So they bought the ticker, and they have deployed on Hypurr EVM, but now when they come over to core, they have access to the spot order book, so people can get in and out of position, and they can generate activity there.
I have a question about that token when we get to some specific HypurRFi stuff. I have specifically a question about that token and buybacks or payoffs. So I'm going to bookmark that for now.
But this is crazy because in this market, right? Where do we go? Here's the USDXL market. We own this market. And so half the fees, the USDXL fees, go to Hyperliquid. That's what you pay for being on the exchange. Half the fees we get. Look, we did $93,000 of volume in the past day. That has gone up significantly higher in the past. But we get a fee on that, whatever the fee is, 0.01 or 0.1% or whatever it is. It's this consistent inbound revenue for you if you buy a ticker and you have an active market. What's bonkers is the HIP3 update, which is on testnet, allows you to do that for perps markets as well. And so you can have your own perpetuals market that runs on the Hyperliquid ticker or on the Hyperliquid engine. We don't know if it'll be on the Hyperliquid front end, probably not, but that's what the builder codes are for. Is you build your own mobile app and you got your own perps DEX. And perps DEXs print money for the people who own the markets, if you can get people excited about longing and shorting assets. So that's what we're talking about here. It's like, this is a platform to build all of these primitives together in a permissionless way, in an on-chain way, in a fair way, auctions and fair vetting. Not, whitelisted, not did you give me an allocation and then join our launchpad sort of situation. It's a totally different way they've done the ball game that is fueled by success and revenue and actual users.
It really is. It's very close to what I remember the earlier times being, where it's the docs are available, There is no foundation. There is no grant to receive. If you feel like building, build. But if with the builder code functionality, you can, yeah, depending on how popular and sticky your app is, you can count on revenue that otherwise, like, this completely changes the model for people who are capable of building, not having to rely on funds necessarily, or not as many funds at least, to get started, or to rely on VCs. Very,
Well,
very interesting.
what excites us, so we have VC raised, we have backing from VCs, but we don't just take them for money. That's a part that helps, fuel growth and grow team and all that. But we take them because they are helping us in other ways. They're beneficial ecosystem participants that will help grow, not just through a quarterly phone call and checking your financials or whatever it is, but rather through active management, because we are making revenue now. Like, we have revenue and it's coming in, and so all of a sudden it does change the dynamics. And not only does that give us great relationships with the VCs, they like it too, because now, like, they get to do stuff and they get to, like, help a project grow that has traction. Like, it's total game changer when you have access to multiple different revenue streams. As you and I know from building our last project together, we didn't have any revenue. Like, every little bit we got was just like a little bit of juice. But that was, I mean, it was bear market. It was just like, it was tough sledding, man. But we made it. We made it through. But that's a total game changer in those regards. So, well, and so we come to Build here because it has this economic flywheel, this user flywheel, and this amazing, powerful, permissionless engine for all this stuff as well, so that we can build stuff on the EVM side that I want to show you. That's looks like DeFi and acts like DeFi, but it will be so much more.
Before we get to that, for viewers that have been following along, obviously Andy has intimate, dare I say, expert knowledge of Hyperliquid. If you have questions related to his intimacy, please drop them in the chat wherever you're watching. I can see them here. We will field them all, of course, if they are valid. And I do appreciate all of the likes and shares and retweets. We have 323 live viewers so far. I appreciate it. If we get to 1,000, I'll give you something very special. So we have gone through maybe a very zoomed out and in some places zoomed in summary of the Hyperliquid ecosystem. We talked about the pool of liquidity itself, the perp DEX as the first, let's say, protocol or product that's front facing, builder codes, the permissionless nature that people can hook right into and build on top of the system. Now, you are working on something specifically. It is called HYPERLIQUID. The domain is hypurr.fi. What can and should users expect from your application?
Let's get there, because I think you're early to Hyperliquid. I think everybody's still early to Hyperliquid, and let me show you why. Getting to the EVM, I'm going to just show you how to do it. It's still a challenge. And if you think about, if you're a fund with $50 million, you figure out, how do I deploy into DeFi and vaults and yields and things? This is difficult to do. So, right, I've got Hype, and I've got it in my spot market. I've got USDC on the spot market as well. I can transfer to perps, or I can transfer to spot, or I can send it to Arbitrum. But I cannot deposit USDC to the EVM. I've got to use a different stablecoin if I want to move stablecoins, or I've got to move Hype. And so you have to get native Hype. So you have to get your USDC, you have to buy Hype, and then to go to the EVM, you have to save some Hype on the exchange and spot for gas, and then move some Hype to the EVM for gas as well. And so all of a sudden, right, if you're not used to wallets and cryptos and chains and gas, like, you're lost. It's over. And this is why it's still a challenge to bring people on, is you got to do the work. Like, there is some work to be done there. But if you're ready to do that, right, Hype is the great place to start. It's kind of a base asset. You can buy USDXL off the market, or USDT is also there. There's a couple other stables that go to the EVM, and you can use this little tool right here, transfer to or from the EVM. But I'm going to show you another one that we have on HYPERLIQUID that I like a little bit better as well. So this is HYPERLIQUID. We'll take you back to our quick deposit and borrow. This is a lending platform. It feels like Aave a little bit, but it's got a lot more stuff. It's multiple different products building towards something else. But that's kind of where to put it in your mind. Like, start thinking Aave at first. Mm-hmm. This transfer tool right here, this L1 transfer, I'll zoom in a little bit too. My wallet is connected. I can go and I can look on the core to see what I've got there. And look, there's my hype that I bought. And how much do I have on the Hypurr EVM? Oh, wait, I gotta stick some on there. Let's do. Now I can transfer hype to Hypurr EVM very easily. If I want to go back to core and I want to sell that, right? I do have 26 hype in here too. So I can go and I can send this hype from EVM right to core right there. And if I do this, it'll pop right back in there. It's like nearly instant. It's super fast. And then you go back and forth between those. Now that is really important for people who are doing trading and vaults and swaps and DeFi and liquidations for lending protocols and such, because it's such a fast pull path to get to this spot liquidity on core that it really changes the game. I don't have to rely on a market maker for most transactions unless I'm dealing with, like 10, $1 to $20 million liquidations, which, hey, let's talk if you want to do that.
So typically people are moving their USDC from Arbitrum to core. Then they need to get hype and they need to move that hype to the Hypurr EVM. And
Yep.
HYPERLIQUID is the one-stop shop, or let's say a seamless way to move from core to the EVM.
Yep, we got everything. There is another way to get to Hypurr EVM. There's a couple of bridges in. So USDT 0 via layer 0, they've got a bridge for USDT and USDT 0 in particular to come directly to EVM, and that'll go right to your wallet. D-Bridge has another one. Wormhole's coming. Everybody's coming. So like every bridge will do it eventually. But you can use Hyperlane has been on for ages as well. So you can bring assets onto the EVM that way. However, you still need gas. You need hype as gas. So you got to make sure you have that. And the easiest way to do that is just right through core and then transferring to the EVM. You can also bridge native Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol, and Fartcoin via Unit. So there's a great project called Hyperunit. I'll find them on Twitter, share. But Hyperunit is kind of like the canonical wrapped Bitcoin of Hyperliquid. It's on the spot market. That's what you buy is UBTC. And it's got a decentralized set of validators. They're called guardians for their bridge. You can read all about their bridge infrastructure and process as well. But that enables like native Solana from the, what's it called? SLM? No, SVM to come into the Hyperliquid ecosystem. Let's see if we enabled the Solana and pooled yet. Very soon, it's coming. But we do have USOL on the markets, and you can go deposit it. You can swap it, like it's available. When you bring Bitcoin in, that is Bitcoin from a Bitcoin address that transfers in and goes into your EVM wallet, and it's wrapped. It's a wrapped version. But that's how we're seeing a lot of movement happen to EVM. It's a little tricky. So like go slow, ask questions, join the Telegram, like I said, and ask questions if you're nervous. Do test transactions. I did for sure.
Yeah, if you're following along, I'm dropping the profiles that we're mentioning in the thread of the broadcast. Well, I would reiterate going slow, certainly for any crypto operations, and especially if you're on comfy. And if you are comfy, I would recommend slowing down and reading those signature messages before signing. And I have to tell myself and remind myself that all the time.
The shortcut for that, the life hack is you copy the transaction information and put it into ChatGPT and say, what is this doing? And it'll tell you. So, oh, this is a normal transaction. Da, 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 da. Oh, this looks fishy. That might be a drainer. Like, just you can use that to read it because I don't understand that stuff. I've always just aped like a total degenerate. But now, like, oh, I can, I have tools.
Yeah, and often sometimes you get there is no message. I think thoughtful projects will put a message there, but yeah, and even then, who knows what's really happening? But moving slow, and there is indeed a great Telegram community for the HYPERLIQUID project, and I appreciate the sticker pack and whoever made it. It's nice.
Yeah, we got some good gangs on the sticker pack. All right, so then you're on EVM. You got some hype, and welcome to HYPERLIQUID. We have there's a bunch of great projects on Hyperliquid that we work with, but what we try to do is make them accessible through HYPERLIQUID so that you can come here and do it all. This is like kind of our landing page for the app. It's our quick deposit and borrow. Also, don't forget your dashboard over here, this little drawer that's really, really snazzy. And it also takes a look at what do you have on the L1 as well. Like you've got some tokens, it'll tell you. So this is a really
Are you?
useful dashboard.
Oops, sorry. Hold on.
Mm,
There you go.
if you,
Now it's not dark. Okay, sorry. I was
oh,
covering it. If
oh,
you can show that again, I was obscuring it.
oh, yeah, there we go. It's over on
There
the
it is.
side right. Yeah, a little drawer. It's sneaky and cute. We like it a lot. Got some settings here for some Hyperliquid specific stuff that I'll show you later. Just your tokens, like this is your balance across where you are, and then some positions as well to kind of tell you where you are if you're deposited in DeFi for some things. One thing that people love to do is swap. And so we have a swap, and this is an aggregator that just points out to every swap aggregator. It's an aggregator. And we're turning this into its own product. It'll have its own branding and a trade interface as well. If you want access to that, you can join the Telegram and get early access to test that out. But this goes and it finds assets across Hypurr EVM. So some that, we talked about unit Ethereum, USDE, various stable coins, looped Hype, which is a stake type, which is a derivative of Hype, like a LST type thing, gold, some of the meme coins, Purr is popular, Peg is a stable coin, governance token, I believe. Buddy. All right, I'm going to do some Buddy because I like Buddy. Buddy's a meme coin. All right, Buddy. It's like the first big meme coin on the EVM. It's got a great silly community and things like that. We like these guys. But
what if I have a question? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, like I put this in and I'm going to go get a quote from these aggregators and it's going to give me a price. And it's usually the best price. So I can get through GlueX is one of our aggregator partners. We got this price, this quote here on Hype for Buddy if we want to do that. So this is a nice swap feature. We are also adding swap collateral very soon. So if you're collateralized in a position, you'll be able to swap out that collateral for something else, another asset, and it will just route it on the back end through this thing. So that should come soon, maybe this week. We'll see.
I think that probably is where my question might come in. But so this is the swap functionality again, and it is every token or any token that is available on the Hype EVM is available here.
That's correct.
Nice.
So some tokens on the Hypurr EVM are not available on Core. And to get your token from Core to EVM is a process, and it's possible you can do it. Many people bring it. And to get it from EVM to Core is also very possible and permissionless. However, caution, it is dev intensive and the docs you don't get a lot of support, right? So you kind of got to know, you got to have chops. So what we've started to do is like when teams come and they want to launch on Hypurr EVM, it's just hard to do and get there and navigate. So people come to us and we help them get on board. We're turning that into a service as well. So if you're thinking about launching a token and you want some support on getting listed on Hyperliquid, ping me. I'm going to turn that into a whole product. I don't have anything on it yet except for my own yapping voice, but we have the knowledge. We've done it several times for many of the projects. I won't say all, but many of the projects on Hypurr EVM that go to Core and set that up.
Interesting. On the initial landing page of HYPERLIQUID, we see a loan to value gauge there and like a health monitor. Take us through what we're looking at on the initial land and perhaps what a first-time user as they land here, where they might want to go first.
Absolutely. So the basic functionality is a lending protocol. This modal is they're Aave v3 contracts. So we have Aave pooled market, and that's kind of like the base vanilla lending pool where you deposit assets and you can borrow other assets against those, but you have to stay over collateralized to a certain ratio. If you fall under that ratio, so you deposit ETH, for example, and you borrow a stable coin against that ETH, but if the price of ETH drops, then the value of your collateral goes down and you're in danger of having that ETH liquidated to settle the position. So that the protocol isn't stuck with bad debt. So this is just tools to kind of show you that, because what we want to do is we want people to know like what you're depositing and what you're getting and what your risk tolerance is and how likely are you to getting liquidated. So I'll just show you guys how that works here. So we've got, I think I have Hype in this wallet. Where's my Hype? Oh, I gotta wrap my Hype. Hold on. Oh no, I'm already on Hype. That's why it wouldn't let me find it, because I was already on it. So let's do 20. So I got 20 Hype, and immediately it shows me I'm being conservative because I haven't asked to borrow anything yet. So if I borrow nothing, I've got a super conservative position. Look how high my health factor is. It's like way past 4. It's like 89,000. As I start to add in funds that I want to borrow, so I'm borrowing, I'm lending Hype and using it as collateral and earning on it. And then I'm going to borrow something against it. I want to borrow USDXL. I'm going to borrow $10. Well, now I got like $800 worth of collateral. If I'm borrowing $10, like that's nothing, right? It barely changed my LTV. It doesn't change my health factor. It does, but like very conservative. As I start to increase this value, I can use this slider. Say like, how much risk am I comfortable with? Should I jam it up? Jam. Now we've got a stopper here. There's a certain amount of that we just allow you to borrow to give that cushion and give us that risk profile. But I can borrow against 800 Hype. I can borrow $483, and so I can, borrow. I think it's 60 or 70% of my collateral in this stablecoin. Now, if the price of Hype drops, then this is going to get closer and closer to liquidation. So what this does, like you can see right down here, when you're on one asset and one borrowed, you can calculate a liquidation price. If the price of Hype goes down to 30, right now it's 40, then I'm going to get this position liquidated. And so this is what we try to show you with these health factors, with these dashes. This is the health factor. We've also got a Telegram bot that you can set up with an address to warn you when your health factor reaches a certain level. So like you don't have to constantly be looking at it the whole time. But that's kind of generally how this works. Let's see if we want to borrow some. Let's borrow some Bitcoin. How much Bitcoin? Probably. It's not letting me go.
Oh God. Oh no.
What's up?
No, I'm I'm commentating.
I don't have any. Oh, it's all been borrowed out.
Oh, there's none available. So this is, of course, the both lending and borrowing aspect of it. A user, through this quick deposit and borrow view, can quickly get it done, as it is named. Certainly, you can also just deposit. You can't just borrow, but you can just deposit if you are on the very conservative side of things and earn a small percentage there. But where things get interesting, if not confusing for me, is combining and looping borrows and deposits, and even over across multiple assets and under different conditions. And that's usually that is where I get lost and scared. And is there a comfy way to go about reasoning about these things for let's say normal user?
Yeah, let me get a position going first. I'm going to borrow $100 USDXL, and I'm going to deposit my Hype, and I'm going to get this going down here. Pop up my wallet, which you guys can't see, but this is my demo, so I don't have hardware for it. Come on, Rabbi. All right.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is Share's Table. I'm here to prop you up. We are joined by Andy from HYPERLIQUID. We are going over the HYPERLIQUID ecosystem and the HYPERLIQUID application.
I gotta switch to big blocks.
Small blocks just won't cut it for us anymore.
Small blocks for trading, big blocks for lending and contract deployment. preference is set to use big blocks. This is a tool you can use, and you'll need to do this across the Hyperliquid EVM. It uses a dual block architecture, which is different than most chains. I don't think there's any other ones, but this is how you change it. Is you go to our settings on ours. There's ways to do it through contracts on chain and stuff like that, but we just made it easier for you to do. All right, so let me try this again. I think it was set to small blocks. Small blocks are faster. All right, this is being weird. And I don't know what's up. So I have hype. It's not wrapped. All right, anyways, let's move on. And I'll show you guys stuff if that's not working. Okay, so the question is, okay, you're borrowing, you're lending, but what are you doing? I'm just going to click down the list here. The dashboard, this is your activity. And so you can monitor what you've deposited, multiple collaterals that you have available to deposit, what your deposit is. Oh, no, it went. Right. I have my deposit out right here, 20 hype. I just haven't borrowed. So I'll go borrow somewhere else. It shows you your health factor. So my deposit did go in. I've got that hype in here, but the borrow didn't work. So my health factor is high. There's also another set of markets called isolated markets. So you can go monitor your position over these other markets and then activity history as well. This is quite useful to kind of keep an eye on where you've been in the ecosystem, because we track a variety of different protocols as well. Hey, look, I've done $7,000 worth of volume, swapping around, doing demos. These next screens, there's a lot going on, and we start to get into the nitty gritty. So here is our pooled markets page. This again is like Aave style markets, and you can deposit into any of these markets with any of these assets. So here's some to notice. K-Hype is coming. It's a very, people are really excited about this LST. Hype, you can deposit. Stake type. So just like if you think about Lido and staked ETH, like it's the similar sort of thing. You can stake Hype with stake hypurr.fi. And then bring your stake type as collateral to borrow whatever it is. I'll show you some of those trades. You can deposit Bitcoin, ETH, USDE, Fee USD, another stablecoin, USDT, 0, and another stablecoin, USDHL. You cannot deposit USDXL because this is like Go in Aave. The collateral in the pooled market allows you to borrow our stablecoin, USDXL. Cannot be supplied, cannot be used as collateral, but you can certainly borrow it. Yeah, I'm going to borrow. Let's see if this works better.
So we are borrowing USDXL. Our hype is our collateral, our deposited hype, which becomes wrapped staked hype.
Oh, I went to big blocks, so it's going to take a little while. All right, congrats, all done. I got this much USDXL on my hype. Great. And in my dashboard, now you can see that my health factor is much lower because I have this borrow amount down here, and we can track all that sort of stuff. So these are the pooled markets, and a lot of people like these deposit APYs. You know, they're small, but like that's just kind of a not that exciting market to borrow hype. We have that tuned, so it's really easy to borrow hype. Nobody wants to borrow stake type because you want to get your own staking yield. You don't want to get, you're not going to get somebody else's, so you're just holding the asset. So it's great collateral, but not great to borrow. But stablecoins, they have high APY. People are clamoring to borrow Fee USD and USDT and these other ones. We've also added points on these if you're depositing. And so you're going to earn 10% right now. That's variable. That changes like block by block. But we're seeing around 10 is pretty standard. And we've got a points bonus on here as well. For some of these assets, we also add a points bonus for borrowing. So if you're borrowing ETH, you're paying 2.69% to borrow it. But you are also earning points there to hopefully help offset some of that. How much do we have available? I don't know if it says available on this page. Oh man, so we have caps for Bitcoin too. So the cap is 120 Bitcoin. There's a little bit left if you want to get in there. Supply cap is 120 of that. Bitcoin is.
And what would what would dictate that supply cap rising or
I'll get into
reducing?
that in a minute, because the question is, what do you want to do with your borrowed assets? Why are people doing this sort of stuff? That's a
Mhm.
really important question. And that's kind of what the opportunity on Hyperliquid in DeFi on EVM really is right now, is following these assets and providing them to people who want to use them. And so that's what this lending is. That's why there's this APY. That's why there's demand for HypurrFi and all these products. But what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go show you. Okay, so I got my USDXL, right? I borrowed it. And I could deposit any of these and borrow against them and get USDXL or whatever other asset. But what am I going to go do with it? Well, I can go buy crap. I can go sell it on the core for USDC, and I can, send it to my, bank, or whoever takes USDC to send it to my bank, and pay my bills. I could pay my dinner bill. But most people are going to isolated markets where there are more bespoke, a little bit longer tail assets and pairs and opportunities for some of these assets. So, for example, the loop type market down here, the borrowers are borrowing USDXL and they're paying 11%. Now, what was that? I'm paying 9% to borrow, 9.25%, and I
Mhm.
lend it for 11.3%, and I'm earning points. Okay. Now,
Yep. Yep.
there's big demand for this, because what the loop type guys are doing is they're using their loop type, which is earning the staking yield. It's like some looping derivative. It's really cool. And then they're taking the USDXL and going and buying more hype and looping more, right? So people are sort of levering up on their positions. Why do people like Hyperliquid? Leverage, permissionlessness, like all that sort of financial exposure. Why are people borrowing? Leverage, permissionlessness, whether that's on staking yield or spot assets or whatever that is. You do that all with self-custody on chain. That's what people are really excited about now.
It's that's the whole thing. It was the narrative years ago, and I'm very happy that it's coming back, because self custody uh, is a big part of all of this, and why this and not a centralized exchange uh, is more aligned
But what
with the
about a
cypherpunk ethos.
permissionless, publicly available market maker yield? What if that were
Mm-hmm.
tokenized? Here's HWHLP. There's also just WHLP. I'm not sure if that one's made it to the market yet. But that's what this is. HWHLP is they've gone and taken that HLP that's on Hyperliquid, the main exchange, tokenized it, and they run that strategy. And so you can deposit your stable coins on EVM into the HWHLP. You get HWHLP as the placeholder, and then they go and farm. And so you're earning this yield, whatever that yield happens to be. And now you can bring that HLP and use it as collateral to go borrow more USDT0. And what do you do with that USDT0? Well, a lot of people loop it back and buy more HWHLP, and they lever up on that HLP staking yield. What does the
Mm-hmm.
HLP get out of it? A bunch of liquidity. They get that liquidity that people then use to fuel that perpetuals exchange. What does the user get out of it by providing that liquidity? They get collateral to borrow to earn interest, right? And go and do that. So these are the sorts of financial tools, and this is a relatively simple one, even though it's got 5 different players. The thing to notice about the isolated markets is these are not the Aave style markets. These are Fraxland markets. You may be more familiar with the like Morpho style or Euler style isolated markets. They're very similar, but how it works fundamentally is this is a collateral asset. So if you've got Purr or Buddy, or meme coin Buddy, if you've got Buddy, you can deposit it in here, but it's not being lent out. You're not earning anything on your Buddy. Instead, you're using it as collateral to
As collateral.
borrow USDXL. What's special about these markets is this USDXL is not provided by the protocol. It doesn't come out of the pooled risk pool. It's provided by other suppliers. It's provided by users. So I can go in here and I can use Buddy as collateral. I have 4 Buddy in there right now. I can borrow USDXL against my Buddy, or I can deposit, supply. And I am the USDXL supplier to this market. And so when you see like the lending rate and the borrow rate, you see, right, there's not a ton of demand to borrow against your Buddy right now. It's like we did it it's a great meme coin. I like it. I love the community. I love the founder and the art. But there's not a ton of demand to borrow against your Buddy. And part of that is because it's a meme coin. It's a really volatile asset. Like you can get liquidated, right?
Right.
That's just the reality of meme coins as well. But these are the isolated markets and where to really go and start generating points because they're higher risk, right? So, but there's a lot of opportunities here to collect points from HypurrFi and other protocols as well.
Folks, if you have questions out there, please leave them in the chat. You will get direct answers quickly for legitimate questions. So as I read this, the options are laid out for me in terms of collateral and borrow asset.
Yeah.
I can also cook my own combinations, and that's what you were taking us through in the beginning, right? Or am I limited there in?
You're limited. These are limited. These are not permissionless markets. We've got some
Okay.
upgrades coming in the next month that may address some of that. But for right now, we curate these markets pretty carefully because it can stick people with bad debt if you do it wrong, right? Or for
Mhm.
us, like we don't want just a bunch of random markets up there that aren't getting used. Like that's just not useful. So it's a waste of
Right.
time and resources and energy. And so we try to focus on markets that are going to be productive, that have clear demand as well. So, you look at this MHype one. MHype is like stake type. It's just a different provider that creates that token. Well,
Mhm.
it's not great to have a bunch of different derivatives in the same pooled market. Stake type has a ton of great liquidity, so it's fine for pooled. But MHype has an awesome isolated market, and they do that leveraged looping strategy there as well with that. That's why that's highly used. Same with HWHLP. That's a newer market. They've rocketed up. I mean, they're just totally killing. I don't know what their TVL is now, but they're really good. Okay. So there's a lot of information. You're going to core, you're getting hype, you're maybe getting stables, you're bridging everything to EVM. You got to figure out your lending position. Now you're depositing your assets in places. These are all opportunities to earn, and people are into that. And that's what people are doing. This is DeFi summer, baby. We're back. Like it's Hyperliquid DeFi summer because we're going to accelerate this 2 levels. And I'm not going to go crazy on this, but I am going to drop a little alpha. One is one of the other accelerants besides stablecoins and liquid stake tokens, the other accelerant in DeFi over the past 3 or 4 years has been vaults. Essentially, what a vault is it's a managed position, just kind of similar to the Hyperliquid vaults, except this is across DeFi. So if you have some hype and you want to get the best yield on it, and you want to also get the best points and returns on it, and you want to split it up into a couple of assets that are earning for you, and then go LP those assets, and so you get rake on the LP fees as well. That's a lot to manage. And so what vaults are is they're a way for people to deposit one asset, you get one APY return, and there are vault curators who manage that whole process for you, and they'll lay out the steps and all that sort of thing. That's why Morpho's had such success. That's fundamentally what Morpho is they have a combination of isolated markets and these vaults that allow curators who are like professional DeFi gangsters who go out and they do it on your behalf. Now we have one vault live right now. May as well show you what that is.
That was going to be my next question.
And many more in the works. That's kind of like one of our big next unlocks is vaults and how they are structured, who curates them, and all that. There's a great place to earn 10% on your staked on your USDXL. It gets you staked USDXL, which it's not great as collateral places yet, but we'll get there. But there's the cap is $1 million, and so there's room in there to deposit. We dropped the points on this; it used to be 10x, so that was like a crazy earner for a while.
So if I see this as an opportunity, and I have some, right now I have a 3 times looped hype thing, and I'm not really earning a big APY or APR there, so I should probably change it. But so I could deposit some hype, borrow some staked USDXL, deposit it into this vault, earn 10%, and hope that outweighs what I owe on my borrow, and I can start
plus points, maybe.
Plus points.
Here's what I do. So I don't do this one because I'm doing some other weird stuff that I'll show you in a minute. But because I'm going to show you a little more DeFi on Hyperliquid and what we need and why this is working. But what I would do is if you really like that looping trade, I would go to, actually, let's just do it. I would go to looptype.com, and looptype, you stake your hype, and they do that looped leverage trade for you.
Mhm.
They just run it. And so you deposit a hype and you get a loop type out of it, or there's some exchange rate there for it. And what that does is they then take that hype and they stake it either with stake type or with K hype, which is coming out next week. And then they take that stake type and they deposit it into HypurrFi, and then they borrow hype against it and do it again. And they loop it up so they get you as much yield as you can given risk. And they manage the risk. Price of hype and goes up and down. There's different risk. Right? They got to harvest and manage that to keep it careful. Now you've got L hype. And what you can do with L hype is you go back to these isolated markets and you can deposit it here,
Pause it.
and you can
Yep.
borrow USDXL or borrow USDT0 and go buy more hype and do that again. That's like a super loop that's pretty good, and you get great points on all that. You can also borrow USDT0 from here and go lend it to here. Like there's not that much difference, and now you're getting, if you're borrowing from this one, you're earning points. You're paying a lot for USDT, but then you're earning 8. So all of a sudden that cuts down, and you're earning points on all of them. Like, do that stuff. The hardest part is like tracking it and making sure you know where you are. So like, be careful, keep good track, take
That's
good
where your
notes.
dashboard comes in, right? And your health factor.
Dashboard, activity, health factor, all that sort of stuff. Takes some monitoring. Now, Vaults kind of takes a lot of that active monitoring out of the equation, and you can just stick it in a vault and they'll run it. And there's risk there, obviously, but they run the risk and tracking because that's where they make their money too. So they take a fee. So looking forward to those coming as well.
Very nice. So that is vaults. We've talked about swap. Transfer. What's transfer?
Transfer is getting from Hyperliquid Core to
EVM.
EVM.
That's what we talked about that. So
All
at
right.
this point,
All right, we got some other stuff cooking that I'm not going to tell you about right here. I'll tell you about later, sure. But we got some other stuff cooking. Our philosophy is we are not building Aave. We don't want to compete with Aave. Aave's Aave. They're awesome. Aave's great. We don't want to compete with Morpho. Like Morpho's Morpho. They're doing their own thing. It's there. We want to be a place where people can use their money all together at once. They can find their ways through. So you can access all the other dexes on Hyperliquid through the swap feature. For example, you can access all these derivatives like in I don't know if we have it here, but like there might be a staking one where we might let people just do that loop type staking right from our app. Like that's something that's on our, we're looking at really strongly because we want to provide that to users so that they have a place to go and do things and manage that. Because the hardest part of DeFi is just like knowing where you are. Half of the tickets that come in that aren't about points are like, I lost $1,000. Help me find it.
where's
And then
my
I go look
token?
on chain and I say like, you deposited over here or you swapped it and you forgot. And they're like, oops, thanks. All right. And it's a really easy solve. And so that's the hard part. And so that's what we're trying to build is like, let people come and do stuff with their money. If you're a whale, if you're a fart coin whale and you're like, man, I want to use my fart on Hyperliquid, come talk to me. Like, tell me, like, what's the size? Like, what do you want to do? Let's work with you and figure out what is it you and a bunch of people like you, and there's some real markets that can occur. That's what we're about. We want to build products that people want to use. That's fundamental to us. It's not just like having one clean, a market and that's it. It's we want to build products that people want to use. Given that, just as a heads up, we are building a number of other products that serve niche markets with high value users in crypto that are not well served currently. So as we build this stuff out, this is the starting point, the fuel to like let those other things happen and for us to grow.
Makes sense. At this point, so we see points. I don't know if we want to talk more about points or just
Oh yeah,
mentioning them is good enough.
points are
What
coming.
might points are coming? We can see points there on the left hand side. So there's a multiplier for a number of different isolated markets, as well as I believe straight up lending and borrowing as well.
Yeah, we'll show you here. So where to earn in the points section, you can go check this out. This Your Points tab, you can do a buddy code, which is a referral code. So there's bonuses that get added. And then soon, next week, we'll have all your points listed down here and you'll see what those are. And there's information in the docs about the points and how they work as well. You can get to the docs down here. But here on where to earn, you could just go. And it's like, okay, I have Hype. I want to do this. Okay, I have USDXL. I want to earn 2x points, right? You can go do this. And there's a ton of options right now. Or you can just scroll down for the multipliers. Here's the 10x, baby. USDXL, Hype LP on, kitten swap. 10x points. Oh, yeah. And this is what's happening on Hyperliquid. Hype USDT 0, 247%.
I don't think we see your screen.
Here is what's happening on Hyperliquid. This is Kitten Swap. There's a bunch of great DEX partners that we work with. I'm going to show you 2 of them today. But this is what people are doing. Check out this Hype BTC pool, 203%. You supply Hype and Bitcoin, 2 awesome assets. People trade between them, and you get the fees, and those fees are high. Do you know why those fees are high?
Because they're getting there's a lot of usage, there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of, I don't know, why?
Because on the core DEX, there is a spot Bitcoin market. And when that spot Bitcoin market moves, this market needs to move. How does it move? People arb the difference. So there's great money to be made in arbitrage, and fast high frequency traders are doing that, which means there's great volume. The volume that's on this is the volume that's on core. It just can't keep up, right? Like how do you keep up with that? That's why there's such demand. Is people are providing LP because they need this liquidity to get smaller slippage so that they can fulfill those arbitrage loops to sell on core. There's this awesome loop with Hyperliquid and the user flow that it enables that is unparalleled for DeFi. These are not juiced. These are not like Blast where they like gave out points and then calculated the value of those points into the APR. This is the APR. This stuff is on top of it. Like this stuff is cheddar. It's bonus and it pays great too. But like this is the opportunity right here. Is there are some massive markets. Hype and USDHL. That's a stable coin. Where's my 10x pool? 230% for Hype USDXL. Plus you get the kitten. Plus you're getting 10x Hype points. Or HYPURR.fi points because we saw it on the points page.
Man, for those of us that were missing those DeFi summer pool pages, here it is again, folks. I saw 200%. I see it close to 300%. Not quite the 10,000% that we saw in the past, but something feels a little more legitimate this time around.
Oh, 1,000% on Hype and H Fund. This is a meme coin, the H Fund meme coin. So you got a ton of volatility, not a ton of fees, not a ton of TVL and volume, but like where it's there, man, that's a good pool. If you like Hype and H Fund. Now, if you're LPing, you're taking one side of that asset. And so, BTC ETH gets a lot of APR because people like trading between Bitcoin and ETH. But ETH hasn't, right? ETH doesn't go up very much, or it hasn't. And so you're taking a risk. If Bitcoin goes up, which it's been killing, right? ETH in that Bitcoin dominance chart or whatever it is, then you end up with more ETH, which does very little. Now you can always sell that for more Bitcoin and rejoin the market as an LP in that way. But that's why there's demand on these things, and risk is not everybody wants to take that risk. Me personally, this is not financial advice, but I like Hype and I like Bitcoin. And so I love this pool. I'm in this pool. And I provide liquidity. I think it's awesome. We need that. HYPURR.fi needs that. This helps us grow because as this liquidity gets deeper, that reduces our risk of liquidation risk. If we have to liquidate a Bitcoin position, right? Somebody uses Bitcoin as collateral and then they take out way too much. And then, the price of Bitcoin tanks and the position needs to be liquidated. We sell that Bitcoin to cover the bad debt so that we are like not an underwater lending protocol. Like that's how it works. Is like you sell that position. That's just fundamental DeFi and economics. But we need to get a good price on that. And right now, there's only so much Bitcoin we can sell. Look, 12 Bitcoin. 12 Bitcoin. Like we just took a look at our pooled markets, right? How much we got in there? We have 119 Bitcoin. That's supplied. And so when you see utilization rate there is a cap of how much we can let people borrow against their Bitcoin, because we can't liquidate. Well, we can, it's more than 12 Bitcoin here because there's also other exchanges. And now we can start going to core order book to liquidate, but there's a little trust assumption built in there. There's some work you got to do for that. But that's the opportunity. And that's why there's demand is people are borrowing to provide liquidity, providing liquidity to support the arbitrage on the exchange because people want to, make these economics all work. And there is money to scrape on top of all that because Hyperliquid is such an actively used exchange for both perps and spot.
The
10x, baby.
10x points.
10x points, baby. We got to get the points on you.
Points are so provocative.
You can also swap. This is Kitten Swap. You can also swap here, but we route through Kitten Swap as well. So I usually don't use the swap interfaces. I test them out and I go see pricing, and it's I won't show you the pricing, but we are competitive on pricing. All right, ready for alpha, or you want to do a summary?
I am ready for the alpha. I'm sure the viewers are ready for the alpha. I want to thank the viewers. We are at 404. I think a new threshold has been broken for live viewers. I very much appreciate it. If you can like and retweet the stream wherever you are, that helps a lot. I do, of course, have Andy from HYPERLIQUID with me. That's hypurr.fi with 2 R's and a U. And they have a great Telegram community that you should join. You should go to hypurr.fi and dive deeper into what Andy so graciously is taking us through. And now, without further ado, show us the alpha.
So here's what, right? So lending market, great. K-Hype, get excited. People are excited about that one. Well, let's refresh and see if Sol is available on the pooled market. We're moving Sol from the isolated markets to the pooled markets, and so that will open soon, maybe tonight. We'll see. But with the Phantom announcement and the movement from Solana and the excitement from that community to trade perps and to get on Hyperliquid, we're ready. Like, let's go. There's liquidity on the AMMs. We need more though. Like that this is where a lot of the alpha lies. Is I'm sharing here. Like, let's go. Hype and Sol, those are great assets. 246% APR. The volume is good. TVL is small. Like, there's another 400,000 or 500,000 on HyperSwap as well, which is another. I'll just click on it and show you another great AMM exchange. Kitten Swap has like the V model, and so their token emissions can be staked to vote for emissions. HyperSwap doesn't, but it does have many pools and concentrated liquidity. Yeah, we got 500,000 in TVL here as well. APR is not as good. It's just not as tight of a range, I believe, compared to the Kitten Swap one. But these are the opportunities, is being in these pools and working on this stuff. Here's the alpha. There's a new DEX that is just starting to gain a little traction. So I haven't, dug too much into these guys, but this is Hybra. We are adding points to the LP on Hybra for Hype and USDXL starting Friday. I think that announcement comes out tonight sometime. Might be on our socials already. But they're a growing DEX. And so if you look at Kitten Swap and HyperSwap, they're kind of like have been the dominant ones, and they're great, awesome partners. Love those guys. But, crypto people also like looking for a new opportunity, and this is one of them. So they've got great APRs. We've got the 50% and 30% and these sorts of things. Let's see if the USDXL. Oh, wait, where's the APR? Oh, 179. Let's go, baby. There it is. These are different. It's just like the percentage of assets in the pool. This point thing will go up as TVL goes up, and we'll add our HYPER points here as well. This is actually what I was thinking about looking at. Okay. Oh, I don't have wrap type. All right, hold on. I got to go get wrap type. Hype to wrap type. Let's do 6. Signing transaction. LPing is fun. It's not the only place to make money on Hyperliquid, but it is, if you know your way around LPs, or you like a couple of assets and you want to get access to some of these early points programs, it can be a really valuable tool. Well, it's going for a
There are
little while.
new tools that help with IL, as I understand now. Right, I'm not sure if that's available on Hyperliquid, but I know things have improved since I last participated in LPing. But I certainly suffered a lot of IL in my early days and became scared. How do you go about managing your LP positions beyond
I
the HYPERLIQUID Dash?
personally, I only LP assets where I like them both. That's my personal. I got some risk. I got enough risk right now that's my limit. If there's an asset I don't like or a stable coin that I'm just not that into, I just don't do it, and that's okay. Like I said, I like Bitcoin and I like hype. I have both of them. Instead of just holding them, I'll just LP them. If the price of Bitcoin skyrockets and the price of hype tanks, I'm going to end up with a whole bunch of hype. Awesome. I love hype and I want to buy cheap hype. If it's vice versa, awesome. I love Bitcoin and I want to buy cheap Bitcoin. And that works for me. And in those two cases, also, like, those have been two of the leading correlated assets as well. And so when they go up, they tend to go up together. One might lead the other, but they're in the pattern more so than them. And Fart does the same thing, actually, which I don't have Fart, but like that would be a good asset if you like Fart, to pair it with Bitcoin, pair it with hype. Like you're going to end up with one of either. One of each.
Makes sense.
All right, I got some wrap type now.
And we're searching for USDXL. There it is.
I also like USDXL. Hype is going to go up against USDXL, and I'm going to effectively sell all my hype in this LP and end up with USDXL. Now, I'm cool with that because I can just go back to HypurR.fi and cash that in for my debt, right? I'm just paying down my debt. It's a CDP. So anytime you get USDXL, you can pay down your debt in your dashboard and pay that off. So I like USDXL as well for that, because I'm going to end up with it and I'm going to pay down debt. And if you get extra, then you can go and drop it in the isolated or the staking pool or whatever it happens to be, or sell it for USDC if you have to. All right, I'm not going to go super aggressive. I'll go 5% aggressive. I'm cool with that. I'm going to go max here. Oh, I don't have enough USDXL. All right. I'll go all my USDXL in the LP, and this will be 2.5 of my hype. And it shows you here, if you're not familiar with concentrated liquidity, here's the price and where it's been over the past week or so. And so I'm setting my range around this, and I can change it. Right? I can widen that range. If I really want to, if I think hype is going to go down and have a correction, I can make it really wide. If I really think it's going to be volatile, and this is what you want in a lot of volatile pairs. If it's a stable coin, and they should stay close to peg, you want that really tight, because you think that range is going to stay really tight. For hype is volatile. And so I actually like to be a little wider. Let's see if you can try. I've never done this platform. There's usually ways. Oh yeah, you can adjust it custom too, but that kind of messes up your oh, look, as I changed my width, it changed my balance. So instead of 103 and 2.5, it's 103 and 2.29, because I have different on the upside. I have a wider upside range here. But I like that. That means in this range, they'll use my liquidity and I'll make fees on that. If it goes up to 45, right, above 44.5, then I stop being in that range and I won't, get fees on that. But I like it.
And once you start earning fees, you can withdraw your earnings without withdrawing your position.
Correct.
Or how does that? And when you
usually
readjust, your range, are you also like auto collecting the fees? Is there any risk to adjusting the range while you're already LPing? Question.
So some platforms, I'm not exactly sure how this works on Kitten, but some of the V platforms, and this one will also be a V platform, is once you have entered into a market and you're receiving V token bribes. So essentially what happens in V markets is, like, let's say I make Andy, and Andy is my governance token. If you stake the Andy, you get V Andy. And you can use that V Andy to vote. It's called vote escrow, VE, vote for which pools, which liquidity pools get protocol emissions. So I'm always emitting Andy, right? I can't stop emitting Andy. But if you have Andy and you stake it as V Andy into one of these LPs, then you're going to get those emissions. Now, if that pool is going to get those emissions, then people are encouraged to LP there. So what I don't know is, like, what everybody's exact setup is for like being in the pool and withdrawing and being eligible for the emissions from the bribes and things like that. There's just like some scheduling you kind of got to look up with each protocol on that.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, like, I'm in one of the V pools on Kitten, and it just lets me claim my Kitten anytime I want. So like I've kept an eye on the Kitten price, and if the price of Kitten tanks to nothing, then my emissions are suddenly worth nothing. But I've kept an eye on it, and like, I'm happy with the price, and so I'm kind of letting it collect and letting it ride as well. So I don't know, that getting into that V stuff is a little more complicated. I don't want to dig too into the weeds on it because it's worth playing with. All right, this is still approving, but it's going. Those big blocks, they're taking a little while. I wonder if something's going on chain.
The markets are full sending as I'm watching in the HYPERLIQUID Telegram. It looks like something has shifted in the last couple of minutes.
Bitcoin's at 111. Holy
Bang.
crap.
Well, that's the chairs table effect, I think.
Yo, look at that sucker.
That's a candle for you.
That's on the 15, bro. Dude, I was about to put on a long, but I was like, oh, I'm going on a stream. I don't want to.
Oh, no.
I don't want to have to manage this on the side.
I've cost you money again.
That was down here. Dang, God candle. Whoa. What I've been noticing is we keep flipping back to the hypurr.fi TVL. It keeps growing. Every time I click here, it's like up another 2 million. I'm like, something's going on. But that's what's going on.
Well, it's
Dude, wild.
You said it, and you might have called it. You might have called it to the day. Like Bitcoin just breached a new all-time high. If Ethereum can follow, we really will be in some sort of summer here.
Is this all-time high?
111, I believe it is, isn't it? Could be. It's very close, if not. Depends on.
Look at the monthly.
Oh yeah, we're there. Yeah. We're nearly there. So here we are.
This candle ticks at 112. So let's see if we can tick off to 112. This is on the monthly though. All right. Well, now this is just a price chart watching stream, but give the people what they like, Chair.
Which is fine. I think that's what everyone is doing. We're just giving them another view, probably, of what they're scrolling through. This is Chair's Table. I am here to prop you up. We're with Andy from HYPERLIQUID. We've gone over a good portion at a high level and some low levels of the Hyperliquid ecosystem and hypurr.fi, the lending and borrowing and vault and points action that's going on there. Bitcoin is at an all-time high, or essentially, I'd like to congratulate and thank everyone for helping us get here.
You know, I'd really like to thank you, the real person behind Satoshi Nakamoto. Chair, people might not know this, but Chair is Satoshi Nakamoto, inventor of Bitcoin. So thank you for this gift that you've given to us.
I would just say that the real Satoshi dropped a box of tech to me that then I proliferated across the cypherpunk email list. And things, well, they just took off from there. What can I say?
Took off from there. Fantastic.
Well, folks, hypurr.fi is the domain. Andy is at Andy Hi-Fi, HYFI on Twitter. I do encourage you to give Andy a follow. He has been around since since ICO times, I believe, or just after in the crypto world. And
I made fun of Dentacoin when it was a real project. Follow me, chat me. I'm in the Telegram. HypurrFi Telegram is the most poppin' place on DeFi. We talk strategy and positioning and all sorts of stuff. There is massive opportunity on Hyperliquid right now, guys, and it's not just on HypurrFi. I'd love to have you, but we have many members of our community who are spread all across the ecosystem. So I just want to encourage you. If you're a builder and you're thinking about coming, everyone's coming. You'll end up here eventually. So check it out now. Like, take a look now. If you're an investor, if you're just like a casual shitcoiner, there's memes, there's shitters, there's NFTs, there's all that fun stuff. But this is also the home of finance. Like, it is growing, and I can't tell you guys the amount of chats that I'm having with people who have not yet announced they're coming. Everybody is coming. Everybody.
I would love to have you again and often, Andy. We can go through whatever's happening on Hyperliquid or Hi-Fi. If you could be our Hyperliquid correspondent, that would be lovely.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing what happened on Hyperliquid spaces, but maybe I'll just come and do that with you once a week.
Listen, whatever makes the most sense is what we should do, and hopefully what we will do. Thank you very much for being here, Andy. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I think we did reach a live viewer threshold. Any final words or calls to action or messages for the people?
Enjoy a little nice piano today. Like, that music on the top, there's nothing like, a nice little bit of calm. And if you have it, a little bit of live piano. If you got somebody playing for you nearby, you're a lucky person. So enjoy that and embrace that. I got a piano over here. I'm gonna go get someone to play that for me, I think. How about that?
Enjoy classical music, feed your brain, eat healthy, get your sleep, and get ready for an interesting last 2/3 here of the summer. This has been Chair's Table. That is Andy from Hi-Fi. I am Chair. Thank you for being at the table. We'll see you very soon, and we'll see right now if I can get the music to work on my system. No, we're going to do a hard close. I do thank you very much once again, Andy. Thank you all for watching. This has been Chair's Table. We'll see you very, very soon, and mahalo.